Jekot. I've written a book called Finding the Lost Art of Storytelling, a guide for parents, grandparents, and family historians. I want to record the stories that are in the book so that people maybe see them performed live instead of just having to read them. This next story I'm going to perform comes from really a famous mythologist by the name of Michael Meade. That's M-E-A-D-E. He has a whole organization called Mosaic Voices. And you can go to that organization at www.mosaicvoices.org. And a lot of people who have questions about the deeper mythological things that are going on in their own souls or in the world will find some very creative answers from Michael Meade. But here's the story. Now, we are going to another place. We are going to another realm. We are going into the world of story. We are going down the path of fire and water. And I want to tell you something about story. In stories are words, and words turn into sentences, and sentences turn into similes and metaphors, and similes and metaphors turn into symbols, and sometimes symbols are filled with fire. So I ask you, be aware, because an image in this story may capture your soul, or you may see a detail in your life that you have never seen before. You don't have to know the whole story. You only have to know the detail, one or two details, because stories are storehouses. They store many things, the voices of our ancestors, deep psychological truths, proclamations from deities and spirits, and even your God. So here we are going down into the earth, down into the fire, and I say once upon a time, there was a woodcutter, and the woodcutter was a father because the woodcutter had a son. And like all fathers, he wanted his son to be bigger and greater than he was in the world. So every morning to eke out his living, he used to go deep, deep into the forest and chop wood. But he would stay an extra hour or two to cut just enough more so that his son would get an education. His son would become bigger than he was in the world. And he did this year after year after year. Now the boy was a good boy. The boy was bright. He was smart. He was well behaved. And when it came time for him to go to university, he took the money that the father gave him and he went. He was a good student. His teachers liked him. But the money only got him halfway through university. And just like back then, it's no different today. As soon as the money runs out, so does the education. So he went back home and he told the father said, "Oh, that's just too bad." And the son said, "I don't think that's too bad. Because I would like to work with you. I would like to go into the forest and chop trees." And the father said, "You may like to do that, but let me tell you something. You don't appear, you an educated one, a school person, you don't appear fit to take on the job of a woodcutter. And besides, there's another problem. I only have one axe. And everybody knows that two men cannot chop wood with one axe." And the son said, "Well, father, can't we borrow one? That may be good." So the son went to a neighbor and he borrowed an axe. And early the next morning, the son followed the father as the father led, and they went into the woods and they began to chop wood. They didn't chop trees where there were spotted owls or any animals in dangers based on the fleeting rush of time. They worked from early morning until the sun raised to its highest level and began to become its brightest and burn through the leaves. And the father said, "Now let's stop. We need to stop and rest and eat. For if you don't stop when the sun is the hottest, you will not have the energy to finish the work of the day." Well, the son said, "Father, you rest. You eat. For my part, I want to walk amongst the trees and see you like a squished frog. And it said, "Let me out. Let me out." Well, I give it to you. What would you do? He pulled that cork out and in a smoke-like shape, faster and larger and larger and larger until it was a mist, a genie that was as large as the oak tree itself. And it said, "Thank you. Thank you for letting me out. Now I will give you your reward. Now I will give you your just deserts. Now that you have left me out, I am going to smash you. I am going to crush you. I am going to separate your head from your neck and stampede your body." And the son said, "Well, that's a strange reward for such an act of kindness." And the genie said, "If you had come 1,000 years ago, I would have granted you any wish you want. If you would have come 500 years ago, I would have bid you adieu and sent you away with a prayer. But lately I've been thinking, since I've been in that tube so long, all I can think about is crushing anything in my way when I get out. Besides, why do you think they put me in the dang vial in the first place?" He said, "Okay, if that's what you're going to do, I don't mind, because I know that everyone must die. I know that life itself is fate. But there's one thing I don't like. I don't want to be killed. I don't want my breath taken. I don't want to die in the hands of a liar." "What? You call me a liar? You say I don't speak truth? You say every word I say is not spit out in truth?" That is what I say. Because I know, as everyone does, that something as large as you could never become small enough to pass through the neck of that little body. Well, I'll show you. And that genie began to turn into smoke again and spiral back into the bottle until every part of it was in that bottle. And the young hunter's son put the cork on the bottle, threw it back at the tree, and walked away. As he walked away, he heard a voice, "Let me out. Let me out. Let me out and I'll give you the reward." And the boy thought, "Well, I've already tricked him once. There's no reason why I shouldn't trick him again, and there might really be a reward in it." So he let the genie out. And the son said, "Now where is my reward?" And the genie handed him a cloth. He said, "If you touch this side of the cloth on anything, it will take any metal and it will turn it into silver. If you touch anything that is wounded on this side of the cloth, it will immediately heal it as if there was no wound at all." The son said, "Let me check it out." So the son took his axe and he smashed it or sliced it right into a tree. And then he held it, that cloth, against the tree, and sure enough, that wound came right back together. Well, they bid each other goodbye, and the spirit went his way, and the boy went his way, and he got back to the clearing, and the father said, "What did I tell you? Did I not tell you that if you walked away, you would not return with enough strength to finish the job? Look at how far we have been behind. Look at how much we have lost." He said, "No, Father, don't worry. I'll catch up." You will never catch up, for living a life in the forest and working with the trees has a rhythm. And young people like you don't know what rhythm is. "Father, show me." Well, he went to hit the axe against the tree, and sure enough, the tip of that axe touched the cloth. It turned into silver. As soon as it hit the tree, it smashed in a million pieces. "Now you've got it," said the father. Now the father didn't see that it was silver. Not only are we behind, but we have lost all the money we can make in this day because of the stupid thing that you did. The son said, "Now, Father, calm down. Maybe the nighttime will be wiser than the day. Let's go home." "You may go home, but for my part, when I start something, I finish it." He said, "Father, I'd love to go home by myself, but I can't. You see, I don't know the way. Please, let's call it a day, and you And he told them all about the cloth. And he asked the father, "Father, can I convince you not to go to the forest anymore, to build you a better house so that you might live out your life?" The father said, "I can be convinced of that." So the boy did that and took the rest of the money, and he went back to university where he was well liked, where he studied hard and he learned much. Then he went out into the world and he lived his life as a healer. And he was a great healer and a famous healer. But what he told the genie was true. Life is fatal. And eventually that healer died. And they put him into the ground, which is where it came from in the first place, and which is where this story is going. Now, that's the story of the woodcutter's son. It's filled with all kinds of things that I can't tell you now because you can only put 15 minutes up on a YouTube. So I'll stop it with that.